Hey guys, so I thought I'd review a movie today. I watched this the other day. It's called Tarantulas, a Deadly Cargo. And I talked about this movie in a recent update. I thought I'd check this out. There will be minor spoilers in this review, but nothing that gives too much away. I'll be talking about some of the scenes. But anyway, let's get to it. And so this movie, it starts off with Tom Atkins and Howard Hessman. That they're pilots. So they start off in South America, and they're trying to they want to transport some coffee beans to California. So they kind of bribe the officials to do that, and they also bring 3 illegal immigrants with them that'll kind of so they can increase their profits. So then, they end up flying, getting their plane and flying. And their intention is to go to San Francisco. But that doesn't quite work out because you see that there's some tarantulas on the plane that got mixed in with the coffee beans. And so they attack the 3 immigrants, and then they attack the pilots. That causes the plane to crash in Finleyville. I think that's a fictional town that's made up for the movie, but it's a small town nonetheless. And so there's a lady, her brother, and I think it's a lady's fiance. They see the plane crash, and so that brings in the fire department, the police. They kind of, investigate what's happening there. And that causes the spiders to kind of come out and basically wreak havoc on the town. So that you know what you're in for with that plot. I thought it was kind of interesting, kind of neat. Great way to start the movie, because usually tarantula movies, you don't really have tarantulas being transported from one place to another. But I'm glad they did this in this movie. It was different in that regard, and as the cinematography and camera work, which ties into what I was talking about with the plane, that camera work that stood out to me. Being a made for TV movie, there's you're pretty standard fare in cinematography. But what stood out to me were the aerial shots that I thought looked great, and really stood out to me, like I said. And so it was cool to see the crash. We don't really see the crash; it's more in place of the aftermath of it. But even that camera work kind of showed off the damage, and I thought, oh, that looks kind of neat. How they showed the damage and what it looked like on the plane, because it makes you think, well, could tarantulas really cause that much damage? I mean, I don't know. I've never been bitten by one while in a car or in a plane, but because you think that, oh, they're going to land when it looks like they're landing, the pilots, but not quite. It's like there's a quick shot of them on the tarmac, but they end up going back in the air again. So that was kind of a twist there that I wasn't expecting, and really got me interested in seeing what would happen and how the spiders would take over the town, basically. And I like the setting. It's a rural kind of setting, similar to Kingdom of the Spiders, a small town setting. And like I said, I haven't seen that many tarantula movies, so I don't know how many of those take place in rural settings. But I didn't mind it. It worked for this movie. Because you get the impression that it works as a small town, as the rural setting, because you can tell that everybody knows everybody, and the way they dress, the way they talk to each other, does fit the setting as well. So I thought that worked as well. I didn't really have any issues with the lighting or anything like that. It worked for what it, and served its purpose. know what else I have to say. I mean, I thought that the spiders look great. I mean, yeah, they look real. I guess they use real spiders. I mean, obviously it's a bit exaggerated because the spider bites, they're lethal in the movie, whereas I don't think spider bites, well, they're not always lethal. I guess it depends on what you get bit by. I've only bit a few times by a spider. And I think that it would take a person longer to die from a spider bite than it does in the movie. But I do think the effects that they had were, pretty realistic, because I looked at pictures of spider bites, and in the movie they look like a boil or an abscess, and there are spider bites that look like that. I've never experienced that myself. I've never been bit by a tarantula or anything like that, like I said, but I do feel that fit, that they didn't make it over the top, because being made for TV, I don't think they couldn't have gotten away with that. And so there's not a lot of blood and gore as well. But I mean, this kind of movie, I don't think you would expect blood and gore. You wouldn't expect a lot of that anyway. Because it's a pretty tame movie for late 70s. But still, I enjoyed it. And some of the scenes I liked. There was one where the kid, I think his name is Matthew, and he's poking with the spider with the stick, being kind of playful. So that kind of tricked me out there, because I thought that there were going to be more spiders, because you're supposed like he pokes a spider for a little while, and it goes into this little tube. So there were going to be more, or the spider was going to bite him or something like that. But it does foreshadow what happens to the kid later. I'll say that much about that, because I don't want to give that away. Another scene I liked was where there's this group of kids. They're walking outside their school. They're autistic children, and they're with Steve. He's one of the people in charge of the school. And what happens is that one of the girls, she picks up one of the spiders with a tennis racket, and I thought that the spider was going to get killed or something like that, like smashed or whatever, but that doesn't end up happening. And so Steve basically says that, the spider will be good for our science project, something like that. And what I liked about both of those scenes is that you get the sense of humor in those, is that there's a playful sense of humor with the spiders. The people that worked on the movie, you kind of get that that's what they were going for, which is what I liked, because there's a little bit of comic relief there, and it's not something I really would expect in a movie like this, but it still worked, or those scenes still worked for me. And they were a nice little change of pace that were welcome to the production. And what else? The ending was decent. I don't want to say too much about it. What I thought was cool about it was, or I should say neat about it. So basically, they're the people. They're in the I think it's a warehouse or something like that, where they have the oranges, because the town is known for producing oranges, citrus fruit, things like that. And so you see the spiders walking on the oranges. And so what the townspeople do is that they have the amplifier set out, and so they're recording the bee sounds, the noises from bees, and you hear it, and it's a way to kind of help deal with the spiders. And I thought that was kind of cool. I'm not going to say what happens to the spiders, but it does. I know it does involve alcohol, and also there's a part where the electricity is shut off. But that's all I'm going to say about the ending, because I don't want to give too much away. This was a decent movie for being made for TV, and I'd check this out if you're interested. And I think this would make a great double feature with Kingdom of the Spiders or Kiss of the Tarantula. Now, I've seen both those movies. Like I said, I haven't seen too many tarantula movies. I've seen some of the earlier ones, like Tarantula, which I believe is from the 50s. But if you want to go for something in a rural setting, this would make a great double feature, like I said, with Kingdom of the Spiders, and even Kiss of the Tarantula. Whereas there's more, spiders dealing with enemies, where as opposed to, the protagonist in that movie is dealing with enemies, as opposed to spiders that are opposing the protagonists. If that makes sense. And I found this at Rasputin. I got it under $6, and you should be able to find this movie on Amazon for probably less than what I paid for it. And I know it came out with another movie called Ants as a double feature, and I think a 3-pack with 2 other movies, which those are more money than if you just buy the single disc. And this one's out of print, but it doesn't go for a lot. But something to keep in mind if you want to check this one out. I'd give this a 7 out of 10. There's very few issues with it. I did feel like it dragged on in some scenes, and it was a little weak in some parts, because it's like these spiders are moving kind of slow. I mean, I guess they're supposed to do that. And I don't know, maybe there could have been a little bit more blood, because they didn't show that much, and it was kind of underwhelming in that aspect. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be like as gory as possible, but I think a little bit more, it would have been a little bit more convincing with the spider bites. And I don't know, I just feel like maybe the autistic children should have had a little bit more dialogue, because they're not in the movie for very long. Maybe I think a scene or 2, and that's it. But I think it would have been interesting to see them maybe deal with the spiders, or maybe they respond to, because I don't remember them responding what happens to Matthew. So it would have been great if they maybe were able to sympathize with that, because I imagine they were around the same age or a little bit older than him, so they would be able to relate to him. I'm not going to say what happens to him, but you'll see what I mean when you see the movie. But other than that, like I said, decent movie. Check it out. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.